Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of misty morning, and that is it. Just misty morning. So good. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea or maybe a cup of coffee. Today is going to be a live day. We're going to be live with Stewart Wood again, and having him on with us doing like a photography weekend review like we always do. And we're going to do like an Ask Us Anything type of session too. So we're not going to make it too long, but we always say that and then end up doing something longer than what we normally expect to do. So anyways, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. There you go. Stewart is with us. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. It's amazing that we can do this. I always think that it's really cool because you're on the other side of the pond, right? You're in the UK. I'm down here in sunny South Florida, and we can actually come together and have these, weekend reviews.
Add sunny, say Florida.
I have to add sunny because I see a rainstorm coming, and it won't be sunny for long.
Wet and miserable, raining UK.
Yeah, you have to come down here. During the winter, everyone wants to come into Florida, right? So it is what it is. I like it, but during the summertime, it gets so hot, so hot. So anyways, today we're going to be talking a lot about, the CIP, what happened over there with the Camera and Imaging Product Association, their reports. The industry is actually getting better, guys. It's actually getting better, which is kind of odd. I didn't think that was going to be the case, but it is. Did you see any of those numbers from CIP? They're basically saying that everything is on an upturn, so to speak.
Yeah, I've seen some reports of it. Mostly people going on about how Canon's actually made a profit, year-on-year profit.
Right.
Which is interesting, which I think they have the R5 to thank for that.
Absolutely.
Maybe their marketing team didn't get the sack for that then.
Canon is one of those companies that, sometimes they're their own worst enemy when it comes to marketing because they'll market the hell out of something and back, and then later on they just can't pay the bill, and that's what ended up happening with the whole EOS R5, right? So, I don't know. The R5 was one of those that were difficult, I think. They came out there saying that it was going to be like this just massive 8K video camera that was going to be amazing and yada, yada, yada. And yes, it is. But the problem is they didn't tell you that the thing is going to overheat if you use it for a prolonged period of time because there is no...
Well, that's the problem that everyone focused on that, didn't they? Where, the actual camera itself is a fantastic stills camera. It really is. I mean, it's even good at the video. You can work around, the overheating parts.
I agree.
So, if you're going to be using it all day and every day, then it's not good for you. But if you're just a YouTuber who just, turns it on for half an hour a day, it's a fantastic camera.
I think that they should have marketed it as just a badass 5D replacement. Oh, by the way, it does 8K. But they didn't.
Either way, it seems to be selling good, looking at their figures.
That's exactly right. So the R5 and the R6 is basically, they're making the numbers right now. When we were looking at some of the numbers, Canon was up by a bunch because of the R5 and the R6. I think they were at... Which one do you think's
the better seller though? Which one do you think's selling more, R5 or R6?
I think R6 because of the price.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. A lot of people I've seen on my groups, they're like, they love the R5, but they've gone for the R6 because that does everything they need it to do, and it's like much cheaper than the R5.
Right. I mean, they're selling it for, what is it, like $3,500 or something? The R5, something like that.
It's got the same sensor in as the 1DX Mark III as well.
That's right.
Which is one, isn't it?
Right, which is a what is it, like $6,400, I think, for that camera.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're getting a lot for your money with it, but like we're saying, it's expensive. Other people look at it too as well. While the R5 is really great if you want to do 4K, 5K, whatever, especially 8K, excuse me. But the problem is you can also get a DSLR. You can get like a 5D Mark IV for like $2,400 now. I mean, super cheap. It's going to do 4K. It's going to take photos. I guarantee you, if you put an R5 next to a 5D Mark IV and you took pictures with both of them, with one using, of course, the RF, not even adapted, but RF like a 70 to 200, and the 5D Mark IV with the 70 to 200 2.8 IS, let's say, you're going to be hard pressed to tell which one is which. I mean, you know, I think that we're getting to a point where the cameras are so good that they're just small nuances better one way or another. And, you know, obviously we're hybrid shooters now, right? So hybrid is the whole thing.
Which one was it? They're entry-level cameras, the APS-C cameras, right? 600D, 650D.
Oh, yeah.
I think it might have been the 700D. And I think the only difference between that and the 650D was, you know, the little dial on top of the camera that was embossed. That was it. That was the only difference between the two. And I'm like, seriously?
And that's what Canon did also with the what was it, the M50? They made the M50. Yes. It was a really great camera. Yeah, it did the 4K nonsense, cripple with the, you know, you're like...
That wasn't crippled. That was hit with a sledgehammer, that one was.
You're cropped and then you're cropped.
I was looking to buy that before they announced. I was like, if a new one of those comes out, I'm going to have that to start my YouTube channel with.
Right,
and then when they announced what it was, I was like, what the hell are you doing? You know, it's like...
No, I know, but...
You're just box ticking now. It's just a box tick. So, it does 4K. Think. It does 4K. Tink.
And then
what they should do is have a box that says, does it do 4K good?
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then the thing is with the 50, with the M50, it was a good camera. Of course, once it hit 4K, you would drop dual pixel AF. So now all of a sudden you're back to Panasonic focusing, which is complete crap. We're not going to get into that today.
They do that with the SRP, don't they, as well?
They do the same exact thing because they have, the dual pixel AF is like their meat and potatoes, their mainstay. Like that's their thing that they can cripple cameras with, and they do it all the time. So, you know, it is what it is. That's just what they do. But why did they take the EOS M50 Mark II and literally, like you said with the other camera, did nothing? You know, like did a slight emboss. I mean, they did nothing with that camera. And the thing is now they're no longer the number one manufacturer of mirrorless cameras.
Mark II is better than Mark I.
Yeah, exactly. And I wish they would have actually showed how it was better by actually putting something into it, making it better.
It's a Mark II. It's better than a Mark I.
So it's got to be.
A Mark II is better than a Mark I. Everybody knows that. Okay.
That's true. It's crazy, but it's absolutely true. CC Photography says, "Who cares? It's a Canon." No, I mean, yeah, it's a Canon. It is what it is.
He's just bummed out because he bought a Sony instead of a Canon. That's all it is with him.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I mean, right now, I'm using a Sony to record this or to, go live with this.
Although CC has said that he's, at some point in the year he's going to be up near my house and he's going to borrow me his Sony A7R4 to have a play with for an afternoon. So that's going to be fun to do.
I would definitely look at I always said that the A7 III was just an amazing camera. They did just a spot on job with that camera for what it was, a sub $2,000 full frame mirrorless camera. I mean, Sony brought over so much new blood into the brand with that A7 III. I always called it a loss leader. Even though, they made money at it, of course, but
have you seen the rumors about the baby A1 that might be coming out?
I have not seen those.
I've not seen that. The one about a cut down version of the A1 that's going to be cheaper than the full priced A1. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking that might be a really good seller because not everybody has the cash for the A1 or has the need for an A1. But some of those specs, if they come down into another camera,
Right.
That's going to be quite nice, you know.
That's usually what they do. Canon, all the rest of the companies do the same thing. They'll bring in, a lot of cool specs into their flagships, and then they'll slowly bring them into all the rest. But I mean, I want to see what an A7 IV is going to be like. I mean, what are we thinking? I mean, that could be a major, another, let's call it loss leader to bring in more fresh blood like they did with the A7 III, right? So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
What can they add to it though? I mean, seriously, what can they add to it? Just, I mean, these cameras, you pick up any camera body, the specs on them compared to a couple of years ago is unbelievable, isn't it?
I think,
like, well, what else can you do?
That reminds me of back in the day when we were shooting film cameras, right? The film camera really from any manufacturer does the exact same thing, right? You load the film in, it basically acts as like an egg timer. You put it in for however many seconds that you want it to open the shutter. It closes the shutter. End of story. It was very, very simplistic, but so they were all very similar. I mean, you didn't get too much until you started getting into AF, and you got different drives that would drive film and stuff. So you're not cranking. It got different, but for the most part, it was an egg timer, and that's it. And I feel like now we're seeing a point where digital is getting so good from so many of the manufacturers that it's an egg timer at this point. Yeah. You're going to get, if you take a picture with a Sony, for example, like whichever, like an A1, let's say. You take a picture with the Sony and you strap on one of their G Master lenses, let's say a 70-200, you take a shot. You take an R5 with a 70-200, you take a shot. You take a Nikon. I think that you'll be hard pressed to see which one is which, right? I mean, they're going to be pretty damn close.
I could get a Sony A7S III,
right?
Do YouTube with it, and not one person will notice a difference.
No, unless you do it in the dark.
No one will notice. Unless it's in the dark, yeah.
Yeah, without light.
Yeah, it's like no one would notice. I mean, I would physically have to say, hey, I've got a new camera, for them to know I've changed the camera,
Yeah, people just wouldn't know.
When I'm looking at buying something, I'm always looking at future-proofing, You've got good autofocus.
Right.
And good lenses to go with it,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's why I'm not using Panasonic at the moment.
I'm not going to get into Panasonic. Ron C says, hey, gents. Yeah, it's Friday. Glad to see you guys live. Appreciate that, Ron. So glad that you're here. Let me see here. Leo is here. How you doing, Leo? Welcome. What does he have here? He says, I hope my A1 is coming soon. That'd be kind of sweet. Right? We'd love to hear all about it. I like when the people that follow the channel interact in the comments and add their real life perspectives on stuff, because I don't have all the cameras out there. I can't review everything. So if I make a comment that has something to do with a spec in comparison to a spec on something else, specs are just specs. When you are in their real world and testing stuff, that's when you really know. So I feel blessed with this channel. There's a lot of just smart people out there that will not only add into the comments their real world perspectives, they do it just, let's say, nicely. There's just no trolls. And I really do appreciate each and every one of you for doing that. Let me see. CC Photography says, seriously, what do you think about the Sigma hitting out of the park with another? See, this, once again, we're going to this is for you, right? So it's a 35 millimeter 1.4 by Sigma. I mean, I don't know. You're the lens guy.
I think it's a cracking lens. I love it. When someone nails it to the camera manufacturer's own lens, I absolutely love it. Laura's doing it at the moment when it comes to macro lenses. And Sigma's doing it when it comes to these the Sonys and everything. Yeah, right. I just love it. I love it when they do it, because it really gives the camera manufacturers a kick up the arse.
Right. No, absolutely.
You got competition. You got to beat them, and that's only better for us, the consumer, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's why I hate to see camera manufacturers going under. It doesn't matter who it is. Like when Olympus decided to call it quits and sell out to...
I was literally eyeing up the Olympus for macro because it's a very, very good system. You can get an Olympus camera. I don't know the model of it because literally when I heard they were being traded out, I was just like, forget it. They do a camera, they do a macro lens and a flash system that everything is all fully weather sealed. The whole lot is weather sealed.
Right.
And I'm like, ooh, that'd be nice. Plus it's a micro four thirds as well, so you're getting better reach, better depth of field when it comes to macro. Yeah.
I know some people that use it
$4,000 or something like that. And while I was pricing it up, because obviously I don't mind paying the price if it's my bread and butter. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's my main camera that I'll be using for photography. And then when I heard they were getting sold, I was like, well, no, I'm not going to need that brand there because I don't know what their future is going to be like. Are they going to sell off the company? Are they going to continue the company? I don't know. So I'm waiting in the wings to see, what's happening. If Olympus is watching, call me.
Exactly.
Because I was looking at getting my hands on their system for macro because it's a really nice system.
Yeah, so now it's OM, what is it, OMD or OM Digital Solutions,
Mark II or Mark III, something like that. Anyway.
Right. No, I mean the company itself. It's like OM
but then when
Digital
you hear
Solutions,
that, they're not going to carry on with it, and they've sold it to this company. Is it from China or Japan or wherever it's from?
Yeah. So
it puts people off buying it. I mean, it puts me off buying it. I'm like, well, I don't really want to go anywhere near it.
So what Olympus did is they took their camera, their imaging department, let's say, and they took that department and they sold it off to JIP. And JIP then resold it or recreated another company called OMD or OM Digital Solutions or whatever. So that is the Olympus brand. And supposedly they're coming out with some new equipment. They did say they made solid they will not go to full frame. Definitely not this year. So we're not going to see any. They're going to stick with micro four thirds, even though I don't think it's the smartest thing. But like you said, there is a reason for everything. I have guys that I know that dive and they love micro four thirds because of the size, and they can take some amazing pictures, and the rig that they can use is very small.
Let me show the viewers that lens I showed you.
Oh yeah, this is a great lens.
Yeah, if people haven't seen micro four thirds, okay, so let me just blow the dust off my lens because it don't get used anymore. But that one there is the Canon 100mm f2.8 macro lens. That is probably your standard macro size lens for like Sigma, Nikon, Sony, Tamron. And next to it, I have the 50mm micro four thirds lens from Lowe. I mean, look at the size difference there.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's a 2 times magnification lens as well. This is only 1 times.
Yeah, so it's a proper macro. Let's just call it.
Yeah, it's a proper macro lens. Yeah, but I mean, if you're thinking about space is tight, and space is very tight in my bag at the moment because obviously, being a lone YouTuber, which I'm sure you can appreciate this, right?
Yes.
I have to have 2 cameras, 2 sets of lenses, 2 sets of tripods in order to record videos when I'm out and about. So what I was thinking, if I could get the Olympus and a little dinky lens like that and get the same quality of images that I'm getting from my current setup, then I'll go with that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But then, like I said, as soon as I heard that they'd been sold out, I'm like, well, I'm staying clear of that because I don't know what the future would hold for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me see. Ron C here says, are you guys excited about the R3? The specs look interesting. R3 is going to be from Canon as a baby to the R1. I don't think that, I mean, people are speculating it'll be an R1, but they just call it an R3. In other words, a 1D X Mark IV, Mark III, whatever, replacement? No, I don't think so. I think that the R3 will be an R3. It'll be in between an R1. The R1 will probably be like $6,500. This R3 will probably be like $5,200 or $4,999 or something like that. That's my personal opinion, but it is a flagship model.
Personally, I won't get excited until independent YouTubers get their hands on it. That's when I start getting excited because that's when the cripple hammer starts appearing. Now, I've been bit by Canon before. I had an R5 in the basket ready to go when literally that was the second the announcement came out about this thing's overheating, and I'm like, ooh, dodged the bullet there. You know what I mean? Because I was buying it for the video features. Okay. My SR perfectly okay for stills, right? But I wanted that 8K video for macro. I wanted the 4K 120 so I could film, you know, bees taking off from flowers and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It just, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would have been disappointed with it, but I wouldn't have sent it back because I'd just swap it and use it for my stills camera. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a fantastic stills camera. I cannot fault it on the still side of stuff, yeah? But literally, I had it in the basket when they announced the overheating issue. So I only really get excited now when the independent YouTubers get their hands on this gear and give it a proper
actually
field
test
test,
it.
you know what I mean? And I'm not talking about ambassadors, because ambassadors are not allowed to badmouth the gear at all. Okay,
100% true.
I mean, yeah, it's like Peter McGinn never mentioned anything about it overheating. You know what I mean? But
he can't.
You know,
I mean,
they're not knocking it. And, you know, they've got their rules they have to follow. But
they have to,
when, it's like the lenses. When they get the Sigma lens and everyone's like, this beats the Sony, this is awesome. I watched the reviews and I'm like, yeah, now I'm getting excited. There's a nice 35mm f1.4 out there that's an option. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's when I get excited. But until then, I'm just like,
kind of whatever. Yeah. So Leo says, I love Canon and Sony because they push each other. And that's an interesting statement. And the reason it's an interesting statement is because for a decade plus, 2 decades, it was always, wow, I love that Canon and Nikon push each other. I always referred to Canon and Nikon as 2 legs on one body. One would take a step forward, and then the next would take a step forward, and then the next one, and the next one. And that's how the entire industry moved forward for so many years. And now, by him recognizing, by Leo saying, hey, it's so good that Canon and Sony, are pushing each other, that changes everything to me, because that is a perspective of a fellow photographer seeing now Sony and Canon being the tops and Nikon in that third place. So I think that it's fascinating. I really do think that's fascinating. But yes, that is kind of how it is. And I'm glad, because the more competition that we have, the better it is for you and I. It's better for prices and it's better for innovation instead of iteration, because all too often we see these companies that are constantly iterating, like we're talking about with the M Mark II instead, the M50 Mark II. It was just an iteration off with nothing basically in it. And that's why they ended up, calling it the day when they were number one for mirrorless. Canon was the number one mirrorless camera seller for a decade, and no one knew it. Everyone thought it was Sony. It was Canon with their M series. But as that advent of the M50 Mark II came out and it was complete garbage, they fell. And now Sony's number one. So, they do stupid stuff. And that's a perfect example of some really stupid stuff, in my opinion. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. Don, how you doing, buddy? Let's see. Leo. Let's see. Don, what does he have in here? Hey, I want to stay. It's okay. Ghost stories. I like it. Yeah, Don. So I did ghost stories during the holidays, and a lot of people liked the reads that I was doing on these ghost stories. I did Edgar Allan Poe's the Raven. I'm a Raven fan. But yeah, I think I'm going to do some more reads. I like doing reads. I think that it just reminds me of old school, old world, when people used to gather around a radio and they would listen to stuff. I'm still an audio guy. I did podcasting before I started doing YouTubing for 8 years, prior to actually getting onto the YouTube. So anyways, yeah, I might do some more reads. I think it'd be fun. I like it. Let's see what else. You got some other questions in here?
Maybe you could read Frozen one day.
What's that?
So maybe you can read Frozen one day.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be fantastic. I can do that. No, I like I actually like just like a proper poem, like a really good poem, a short story, something that, you know, has like twists and turns in it, but it's very short, concise, and pithy, you know, where it's like, I just like stuff like that. These stuff that kind of drones on like I do when I speak, I don't like it. You know, it's really freaking annoying. So, yeah. Let's see. What CC Photography says the trouble is warranties when the companies go under. Yeah, that is definitely an issue. When the companies go belly up, what do you do about warranty? That's one issue. Also, when they move plants, and they move plants to a different country, now all of a sudden, if you have warranty work, you're actually sending your product, your camera, to another country, which is going to cost you a lot of money. So there's things to think about also when you're purchasing camera from different manufacturers. Where is their warranty locations? What else we got here? Okay. Let's see. Ron C says, Joseph Stewart, the only problem with third-party lenses is the after service. If you have a problem, CPS, which if you guys don't know, that's the Canon side of it, which is a professional service people, is worth the weight in gold, in my humble opinion, especially if you're a pro shooting for a living. I've used CPS for well over a decade, and they have never let me down. Shot professionally. I've went to many venues. Sometimes we would go to Manhattan. We would shoot at the Javits Center. We would go into Las Vegas. We would shoot at the MGM Grand or whatever for WPPI, whatever it is. And sometimes we would have gear that would go south, and they would have, CPS would have people on location that can fix your stuff then. So yeah, even though yes, you can send it into CPS and they'll turn it around within a day or two, but if you go on location and shoot as a professional, they're there in spades. Perfect example is if you are an Olympic shooter. Canon has mega stations where they will have just like 100 lenses stacked all in rows where you can go in there and rent a lens, they'll give you the lens, you'll sign off on it. And they'll have service, they have some really good support. And that was one of the things that Sony didn't have. I think they're getting better, but I just don't think that they're on the CPS type of, level. But then again, I'm not shooting Sony. We have a few Sonys, but I'm not shooting it professionally, so I'm not sure. If someone is a Sony shooter and they've had some experience with their warranty stuff, let us know. Tell us here in chat or in the comments below this video, either which way. Let's see, what else we got there? Any other questions that pop up? Let's see. Andre says, hello, how you doing? Let's see. So Hot Rod in Daytona, they write, so how many years before a curved sensor? So they've had curved sensors out for some time. The problem is obviously it's not in gear as of yet, but they've been working on them for years now. And the problem is being able to make the sensor curve without cracking. That middle spot where they're actually trying to curve it during the whole process, they snap them. They snap them all the time. And they're trying different means, different methods to be able to get that to happen. But once you have a curved sensor, if you know it or not, but once you have that curved sensor, now all of a sudden lenses will have to have less internals. They'll be cheaper. They'll be able to be produced quicker. They'll be smaller. The other side of this is that while some manufacturers like Sony and Nikon are creating curved sensors, Canon is trying to create a flexible sensor that curves, but the curve can change based on internal processes. So what that means is if you have a lens that has a specific curve to it, because each lens would have a specific curve, it could now change based on that curve. So that is, I think, where things need to go. A pliable, a malleable sensor. That would be unbelievable. And that would really make lens creation cheaper, faster, smaller, everything, because you wouldn't need as much internals in there. That changes how things are actually shot onto that sensor. So really good question. I don't think that we're going to see it this year, but I think that we should be able to see some curved sensor stuff by next year, because we've been seeing a lot of stuff in reports that they're getting close. But I don't know about the flexi sensor, because that's going to take some more time. So we'll see what happens with that. But they do have a patent for it, just so you know. They do have a patent. What else we have here? Leo.
Sounds interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. It's pretty cool. It's definitely pretty cool. But just think about it too, is if you do have that flexi sensor, right? You could now throw on like APS-C, right, which is going to change, and the sensor will just change to that curve. So there's just, I mean, I can't get into all the specifics, but remember, you're bringing light in that's round, and then you're converting it to hit something square, let's call it rectangular. When you have a curve, you have less of a conversion to do. So you need less elements inside of the lens to make this work. So it's pretty cool. It's definitely pretty cool. I'm glad that someone is working on it. Canon is, but I think they're all going to, see the writing on the wall. That's going to go that way. And, it's either we're going to get curved or we're going to get a high speed readout of a global shutter. And then at that point, they're not even going to care. They're going to be like global shutter, global shutter, global shutter. So that's going to be in a couple of years too.
Shutters.
Because then mechanical is completely dead, and you don't need a mechanical shutter, even for flash or for any other reasons at all. And you will no longer have that jello effect that the current rolling shutter produces. So a global shutter will be on the horizon, but it's just, we're not there yet. We're getting there. I'll keep reporting on it whenever I see some new news on it, because I think it's fascinating. Both curved sensors as well as a global shutter. So what else we have here? Leo says, where do you see Nikon in the next few years? What do you think about that? What do you think about Nikon in the next couple of years?
Depends if they fix the autofocus. But it's fair, it's not actually that bad though.
It's not.
I mean, it does work. It's just not as quick as Canon and Sony, but they got a lot of following. So the only thing I can think of is people are just waiting for this Z9 to come out.
Yeah. So they just released, I did a report on the release of 4 new firmware updates. And it's for the Z6, Z6 II, Z7, Z7 II, as well as the Z5 and the Z50. They all got firmware updates. The Z50 got crap of an update. They just didn't show it any love. But the other ones got some really good autofocus updates. So, and tracking, eye tracking, torso tracking.
Do you know anyone who's tested it though?
Yes, in the comments on that, on that video that I did, in the comments, there was a bunch of people that said that they did experience better locking, let's say making the subject stickier, so that would track better, as well as a quicker eye recognition. So yes, it did help. Also, I think was really cool was they were adding into it a voice memo. They only gave it to, I think, the Z6 or the Z7, not the Z6 or Z7 Mark IIs, and not to the other cameras, which I thought sucked. Yeah. But I guess they were just using the Z6 or the Z7 as a beta tester and testing it out. But that's really cool because, if you're an event photographer, right? I don't know if you've ever done that. You take a picture of someone and then you tell your person that you have with you, a liaison, like I always do, and I'll say, grab the left, the rights, and then I'll say, yeah, that was image 4,729. And they'll write that down and they'll say, yes, sir, what is your name? And they'll take them left to right. So then this way, when they goes to press, they know who's in the shot and they have the image number, whatever. Well, with this voice recording thing, you take the shot and you're like, oh, can we get you guys to say, your names? You hit record and you literally got everyone's names, left to right, done. Just like that. You don't need the liaison next to you writing things down if you don't want to. You can do it yourself. So that was really cool. I want to see them put that into all the Nikon. So we'll see if they do or not.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with that. Who else do we have here? Maybe the third only Nikon just one. Yeah, that's what let me see, TLA Town says maybe only third, but I love Nikon. Just waiting for the Z9. A lot of people are waiting for that Z9. See what they do. I don't know how you feel about the Z9. I look at the Z9 as if you remember back when Nikon was going through some real hard times when they had recall after recall after recall. And at that time I said, these people are going to go under unless they get their crap together. And they announced a D850. And I said at that time, literally when they made an announcement, I said, if they have this D850 is going to be like make it or break it. If they have recall after recall with this D850, they're done. But if they really hit it out of the park, this could be something special. And what ended up happening was the D850 just took off. It's a monster. It's the best I think it's the best DSLR out there. I think it's better than Canon. Well, I think the same thing with the Z9. I think the Z9 is going to be that make it or break it flagship product that's either going to be just massive or it's going to hurt the company. So I'm hoping,
they've got to get it right. They have to get it right.
Yes.
And they can't do this whole release it now and we'll fix it in 12 months via firmware.
No.
Because you've lost a lot of your customers then. You've got to do it out the box. Out the box.
Absolutely.
All the stuff that people want and they've got from others, plus that autofocus that needs to be on par with Canon and Sony.
110%. Absolutely. There's no question. The AF system, they need to work on it, obviously. They're going to have to make sure, if they go with 8K, they're going to have to make sure they don't just completely screw the pooch like, Canon did with their R5 and the whole heat problem. They cannot overheat the thing.
To be fair, I wouldn't even go with 8K. I'd just concentrate on making it a damn good camera.
I agree. And that's why, people say
you want the D850 in mirrorless format, basically.
Yeah.
That's what people want.
No, 110%. Absolutely. You don't need more than that. They don't need to swing, for the stands. They need to get a good triple. They don't need to get a home run specific time.
You don't need to break records or be a world first. You need a camera that works.
Right. And that's what Canon...
going to get the job done and
Absolutely.
that photographers can rely on. There's no good having a professional photographer get their camera out of the bag thinking, is it going to work this time? Because you're not going to do it.
I agree.
Ship, ain't they?
Yeah, no. And the thing comes back down to, heat is the bane of all electronics, and especially these cameras. And as they get smaller and smaller, heat dissipation is a problem. You have very, very little passive heat dissipation in these small cameras because there's not a lot of room. You can't have an active means of heat dissipation. Why? Because you would need an inlet and an exhaust. You would have to have a fan in it. And at that point, all of a sudden, we have weather sealing issues that you could still do. Panasonic does it, but it's still an issue. And the cameras need to be larger. So I do think that we're going to see these cameras get slightly bigger as time goes by and as speeds get quicker and quicker and quicker. And some of these cameras are going to start getting dual processors and quad processors in them. And when they do, we're talking heat. And heat needs to come out of these cameras. And when they're small, it's very hard to come out. So 8K, that just blisters a camera. It's a lot of data that it has to churn and process.
I've felt it firsthand, I have. I mean, the R5, I was in the middle of doing the B-roll for my jumping spider tutorial. It's available at stewardwood.com.
Yes.
And by the time I'd set up the shot, the camera had already overheated, even though I hadn't recorded anything. It just went, screw you, you're not getting the shot you want.
That's horrible.
In the end, I went back to using the EOS R to do it. And, again, no one can tell.
All right. So tell us about the EOS R being probably the most underrated camera out there for the price. Yeah,
I think I got two of them. I love them. You know, I mean, there's annoyances on them, Forget image stabilization because it wasn't available when these were built, okay? I prefer it, but there's a crop on the 4K which can be irritating, but all you got to do is learn to work around it, and all I do is just put the camera further back. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to switch quickly from photo to video, you're going to have an issue because obviously you've got to step back. So
Right.
I wouldn't use it for reading. I wouldn't use it for reading if you're doing hybrid. But if you've got two of them, one's for video and one's for stills,
right,
no problems with it. You know, the digital stabilization is fantastic. It crops in, yes, but I'll just take another step back. You know, I don't really care. I think the image quality is great off it.
right.
You know, I mean, I don't use the bar. That can get lost. I don't use that thing. You know?
Yeah.
But the eye autofocus is fantastic on it. It hasn't failed me once yet during using it. Focus peaking, I love the focus peaking on these mirrorless cameras. Absolutely love it. Fantastic. In fact, I found myself using manual lenses more on portrait shoots now because of focus peaking than I did before.
Yeah.
You know, I've had to use my my macro lenses for portraits, and they're full manual lenses. And you know, you just focus it until the model's eye turns red, and bang.
And that's it. Yeah. No, absolutely. So I mean, I don't know if you guys know it or not, but I'm also a DP, and I also shoot cameras on set for episodic TV stuff. And a lot of the sets, they still use like Panasonic EVA 1s. And even though Panasonic has absolute crap autofocus,
incoming rant.
No, I'm not going to. But the EVA 1, right? We still shoot them with a Canon EF mount on it, and we shoot all L glass on them, and we're pulling focus, and everything is pulled via focus peaking. Period. The EVA 1s have two different types. One, like you said, the eye turns red or green or any color that you want it to, wherever the focus is. But the EVA 1s also have like a square box thing. And it's really super cool. So where the boxes are big over the subject, that's where it's perfectly in focus. Where they're smaller, it's out of focus. I like that means too. But there's something to be said. I mean, if you have the ability, if you're shooting product, if you anything that you can take some time, manual focus using focus peaking is going to get you a better shot for the most part. Autofocus, sometimes, will miss. Whereas when you're manually locking up, that's it. You're in there and you got it. Let me see. CC Photography says, this is for you. This is definitely for you. If you could have a camera manufacturer make the lens of your dreams, what would you like for a focal length and aperture?
I'm going to give you the same list I gave to Irish when they asked. I want a one macro lens that does it all. So I want a macro lens that goes from infinity to 3 times magnification.
Oh, wow.
But
3.
generally, if I go above 3 times magnification, it's a specialist lens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got infinity to 3 times magnification. I want the optics from a lower lens inside there. I want the weather sealing and the auto-focusing from a Canon lens inside there. And I want the focusing rings from an Irix lens that does a 360-degree rotation. Because when it comes to macro, you want to be able to turn it very slowly to get your point of focus. If you've got one that's got a very short focus throw, you're going backwards, forwards, trying to get the bloody eye in focus, and you can't do it. So a nice, massive focus ring,
Yeah.
So I mean, I can wish, if the second one of these camera manufacturers hits that list, they'll have the best macro lens in the market.
That's a Frankenstein. That's like the Frankenstein lens right there. Yeah, I like it.
Well, I love it. I'd love it. I really would.
Yeah, Leo says curved sensors will perhaps accommodate Sony's smaller E-mounts. Yeah, so, whenever you're dealing with a curved sensor, you can accommodate just about anything, right? Because it's curved. And absolutely. There's so much that can be done with the curved sensor. Also, I would like to see Canon come out with an R7 that is a 7D replacement. So that would be an APS-C, but the mount is an RF, and it just simply uses the internals, right? The smaller section. The sharpest area of a lens is towards the middle, right? So I think that would be a good idea also. I think that would be something to look into. Yeah.
While we're on the subject, which is why you buy full frame lenses for Canon APS-C cameras.
Exactly.
Because they are sharp. They are nice. They're like... because also you're going to want to upgrade the body. So
Eventually.
you can't take your APS-C lenses with you. I mean,
No.
you can with the R system because you can put them on the R, but it also crops it because it's got a crop sensor lens on there. But I always bought full frame lenses for my crop sensor, and the center part is nice and sharp, and all the outside part, we get the vignetting and all that crap, is actually outside the sensor, which makes it great. It's not perfectly sharp that you would have on a full frame camera, but you take those lenses with you when you upgrade. You know, you're not having to replace them when you upgrade.
That's the whole idea is you get to keep those lenses. Lenses are for life. Let's say, you know, lenses are a lifetime. Bodies are like toilet paper. I always akin them to, and you throw them out all the time.
Lenses is what stops me jumping ship.
Exactly.
Because if I jump ship, I've either got to convert them or buy new lenses.
And that's what the manufacturers...
Video, I don't want to convert lenses for video. I don't want to convert lenses for video. I'd rather have the native one on there. So you've got the price of the camera plus the price of the lens. And let's be honest with you, when it comes to video, the lens is king. You don't want to cheap out on your lens. Because you can have a great full frame camera, but then if you put the kit lens on there, which, you know, from your old camera, which is like an f5.6,
it's going to look like crap. Yeah, no,
it is going to look like crap. I wasn't going to say it, but you know you're working.
That's it. It's true.
So you know you have to get the lens to go with it. So that's mainly what stopped me trying out the Sony. Yeah, I had my eyes on the A7S III for video.
I mean, I can get, I
want to do a lot of stuff. Do you know what I mean? But
so my camera
stops you sometimes.
So let me ask. I'm going to ask you real quick before I get into some more questions here. What would be, if you can get any camera today that's not the camera that you currently have, let's say, and it's a different camera, what would it be? For me, I really would love to get my hands on a GFX 100S or even a GFX 50R. Just because I do a lot of product work and I do a lot of fashion, and I usually bring in Hasselblads when we shoot fashion or we shoot product. And, you know, we're bringing in like $80,000 worth of gear. It would be really cool to be able to get something that is right on the cusp as being as good, in quotes, air quotes, with a GFX. So what would be your camera? What would be your, you know, if you didn't have what you have currently?
That's a hard question because I haven't used anything but Canon.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So, see, here's the thing, right? When you ask that question, it all comes down to money. And the question is, if I buy a camera and don't like it, can I be afford to replace it? Do you know what I mean? So for me, if it was right now and I had the budget just for the cameras, I'd still stick with Canon because I know what I'm getting. I know the limitations.
Right.
So I would go with this. Rather than what camera, I'd say what I want out of it. What I want is a fast stills camera. It doesn't have to be high megapixels, but a fast stills camera. Because when you're focus stacking, the more shots you get within a given second, the more success you're going to get of getting a decent image. Because that bug has got less time to move. Now, if you're doing, say, 10 frames over 1 second, but this other camera that does more megapixel but is only doing 4 frames over 1 second, you're going to have more chance of grabbing your image with the high-speed camera than you will with the low-speed camera. Just the way focus stacking works. So that's, for me, the R5 was doing a brilliant job for the still side of things. Video, now that's where we get into the unknown because, again, I've only been doing video a couple of years. But I want a decent low-light performer that does 4K at 120 frames a second. So you're talking Sony A7S III.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's probably it.
Because I want to go out, you know, I want to go out, you know, early in the morning, late at night. I haven't actually done that yet. I'm probably the only macro photographer in the entire world that doesn't go out in the mornings, you know. But that's family life for you, isn't it?
Yes.
Then I want to be able to film in high resolution, high frame rate, so you can see those rings beating and stuff like that. But again, I've got no experience with the Sony, so I'd have to rent one to see how I like it. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to the usability of the camera for me. I need to be able to go bang, 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 record.
Right. And of course,
not fuss around, no to rely on it. I don't want to be going, oh, there's a bee on that flare. Let me just change my settings quickly.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, I know.
You've got to go bang, bang, you know, and get it done. Yeah.
So I've
always got my eye on Sony. I'll be honest with you. I've always got my eye on Sony. But every time I look at Sony, Canon announced something new. Like they announced the R5 Cinema version.
Yes, the R5C.
again, would make sense for me to stick with that, because if I went with Sony, I'd have to get a Sony mounted macro lens.
Let me see what the Sony.
Double up on my lenses again. Do you know what I mean?
What is that? What is it? The S3, right? What is
Sony FX3 is a good one. I know that one.
Sony. Yeah, so $3,500 for the Sony. Okay, Sony. Yeah. So if you want it now, you were talking about video. If you are a Canon guy, right, and you want video, I mean, the C series is really, that's what I shoot. Okay, I shoot only C series for my professional work. If you can get like a C70, for example, number one top seller.
The problem with that is, isn't that big though?
It's look at it. I just threw it on the screen. No, I mean it's like a 1D. I mean, look at it. But the thing is I mean, this is a proper video camera. I mean, it's Super 35. I mean, you're looking at about a couple $1,000s more, but at this point you have something that's doing 4K, 120p. You're doing it's really a powerful system. So the cameras that we shoot when we're doing cinema are like the C500 and 700. So like here's a C700. Let me bring that up over here at B&H just so you can see. So it's $33,000. But look at this, right?
Say that again.
So this is not just for like what we would do for YouTube. Obviously, this is for doing high end stuff. But now hold on.
This is the thing that I miss about the live shows. Now we talked about this a few weeks ago. How we're missing the live shows. Now we was at a live show once, and they had to see. I don't know which seat it was. It was a £15,000 camera just for the body, right? Right. And the missus was like, "Oh, I like that camera. Should we get that one?" I'm like, for 15 grand. She's like, okay, and then just walked away.
Maybe not. But now, okay, but so look at this camera on the screen. So this is the Canon EOS C100 Mark II. Okay, $2,699, and this is a proper video camera. It does not do 4K. Okay, it does only 1080p, but it does 1080p like crazy, like really, really good. If you want something that's so anyways, what I was saying is, yes, there's a lot of different options when it comes to
there's so much choice, isn't there?
There's a lot of choice, but I really like the C series because I can use any of the glass that I have. Now I got just 30, 40 grand of glass. I can take any of those lenses, strap it onto that camera, and use the hell out of it and not have to worry about it. That's number one. Number two, these cameras have active cooling. They're not passive cooled. So what happens is you can record at 4K literally for an entire show that's like 4 hours long and not worrying about it at all. So what we'll do is a lot of times we'll have 3 of these cameras going, and we'll have a center, we'll have a stage left, stage right rolling. And then the only time anything has to stop is when we're swapping cards. And at that point, one camera goes down while new cards are swapped. And then the other 2 are picking up the slack, let's say, in post-production. You can always go to camera 1 and camera 2 while camera 3 is getting, and that's it. Very simple. And they literally will roll and roll and roll. You never have to worry about overheating. It just simply works. And that's where we're getting into a thing where it comes to hybrid technology. People want that kind of thing, but they want it in a little tiny camera. You can't do it. There's sacrifices. There's heat. It's you have to make their sacrifices, period. So anyways, let me get back into the, let me see if I can, here we go. Let me see if there's more comments here that we can get into it. Ron says 8K is overkill. You need, and so the thing, okay, so yeah, I agree. He says you need a ridiculous amount of storage and, a tip-top computer to process the files. 110%, I agree with you.
It all depends on your use case. Now, for me, right. I want 8K.
Yes.
I want to film in 8K because,
right.
I can crop in more. Yeah, it costs a lot of money to do it, but you got to think about it like this, right? If you've got a skittish subject that you can't get near, and I can switch to 8K and crop it in, I'm getting the shot I need. You know what I mean? More detail. Yeah. So again, it all depends on your use case. Yeah, a lot of people don't need 8K, but there are people out there that might need 8K.
Hey, grab that new CPU that you just got. Show everybody what's coming. This is exciting.
What's coming? What's coming? Look at this bad boy, man.
I love it. Ryzen 9. So, what are you missing? You're missing what parts? What parts do you still need?
Motherboard, RAM, and the hard drive.
All right.
Motherboards, they're getting as rare as CPUs.
Back ordered or whatever.
And when I say hard to get hold of, I'm talking about hard to get hold of from reputable retailers. Okay, I can get it, but I have to buy it in from a foreign country, and I'm not doing that in case there's an issue. I want to get it from my local store, whereas if there's an issue, I can literally just drive down there and sort the problem out. And then RAM prices are through the roof at the moment, but I might just bite the bullet and just go, well, screw it, I'll just buy the price and just get it done, because
yeah.
I want to get on with doing stuff. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be waiting. I don't want to build this system in September when all the bugs have gone. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it's coming. It's coming slowly.
It's happening. It's happening.
It'll happen. It'll literally happen overnight once it's got done.
Right.
All you'll know is you'll see the build logs on YouTube, and then if you're like, oh, okay, Stu's got a new computer now, and then Joe's going to be on my channel instead.
Yeah, I can't wait. Guys, I cannot wait. Let me, I know a lot of people have been like, where have you been? You only put out like 2 or 3 videos this week. And they've been asking me like, what's going on? And I just want to say before we get into a couple, you take a look if there's some more comments that we want to get in there, questions. But anyways, so just to let you guys know, a couple of things. Number one, I've been working on this book. It's like your digital Fort Knox book. It's so that you can do as I'm doing and archive all of your data on site in a RAID array, but it's an unRAID server. So you get all of the goodness of an archival backup without the negativity, let's say, the negative aspects of a proper RAID. Whereas if you lose two drives in a drive, bay of 5, you lose all your data. With an unRAID, you don't. So I've been working on this book. I think we're on I'm probably about 50 plus pages into it. I showed you guys the other day. I was kind of making believe that I was writing on this, and someone said, "Hey, you're coming up in the world." Yeah. So this right here, I just made like a little video of me typing on it, but obviously I'm not doing the book on it. But it's just fun. This is a circa 1961, 64. This is older than I am. This is over, I guess, at this point, close to, I guess, about 60 years old or so. About 60 years old. But it still works perfectly. And this was not something that I bought. This is in the family. So this was my mother's way back in the day, which is kind of cool. So I'm working on that. I'm going to be done most likely next week, I'm hoping, and then I can get it out there to all you guys. I'm so excited about it because I've put so much time and effort into it. I just want to help a lot of people, and I think that it will. So that's one thing. The other thing, last night, this channel finally changed its name. Forever, if you look for JCristina over on YouTube, you get like Christina Aguilera, you get all these, you get this other singer that was like JCristina, was like a singer. Well, I went and I talked to my people over there on YouTube. As a creative, you can kind of chat with them live or whatever. So I chatted with them and I said, listen, I want my proper name. JCristina is the brand. I want it. Can I get it? And they put me on hold for about 20 minutes and they said, Miss Christina, yeah, we have it available and we're going to save it for you right now and secure it to your channel. I'm like, get the hell out of here. Really? So if you go to youtube.com, instead of doing /JCristina photo, you don't have to do it anymore. It's now /JCristina, period. So very exciting. I'm telling you what, Stewart, I've been trying to...
To be fair, when I first saw your channel, I did think it was a woman presenter.
You see that? Because of the last name, right?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. So
yeah. I'm getting a lot of comments about my potato at the moment.
Oh no.
They're basically slagging off the potato. I've got to ask, all right, let me bring this in here. What's wrong with that? Look,
I think it's fantastic.
I mean, what's wrong with that? I mean, it works perfectly.
Oh my God.
There's nothing wrong with that computer, is there? There's nothing wrong with that.
And this is from like a YouTuber with 30,000 plus subscribers. What the hell are you doing with yourself?
There's nothing wrong with it. It works perfectly okay.
Oh my God. Let me see. Ron C says, "Hey Stewart, go and grab the R6. It's a level up over your R." That's it is. But once again, it comes back down to money and
comes down to funds at the end of the day. You know?
Yeah, it always does. It always does.
Which way am I going to go there? I'd love nothing more than to get the R6 or R5, but the computer takes priority because without the computer, there's no YouTube. Without the computer, there's no editing of my images. There's no focus stacking, nothing. So, I mean, we sit here. I mean, here's the thing, right? We sit here and we drool over cameras, we drool over lenses, what I do.
Right.
But not one of us mentions the fact that you need a computer to do photography.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like you don't have a bat of of chemicals that you can throw this stuff in.
I'm starting a playlist on my channel as soon as I've sorted this thing out. Anyway, that's about PC components and PC parts and stuff, because there's loads of channels out there that talk about cameras. There's loads out there that talk about lenses, talk about photography and how to edit. But there's not very many of them out there that talk about the actual hardware that you edit on.
Right.
How do you format your hard drive in such a way that if your Windows goes bang, you don't lose any data?
Right.
Now I know you're going to be doing that new book about the the RAID array and all that. That's going to be very interesting, and that goes in the same category. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's not that many people that are backing up their data.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
It's going to be interesting.
You lose everything, and that's the end of it. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And most people are just not backing the stuff up, and a lot of people are not even backing up their phones these days.
I don't do that anyway.
Yeah, and then whatever whatever pictures you got.
Story, right? I upgraded to the iPhone 12 Pro.
Right.
From a crappy Huawei phone I had, right? I got 256 gig of memory in here, which is basically more than my C drive in my computer.
Right.
And here's the thing, right? I love Apple. Don't get me wrong, I love Apple, but they do some stupid shit sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I can't go into iTunes and tell it to back up my phone to my backup hard drive. It has to go to the C drive. But my C drive is smaller than my phone, so the backup doesn't work. I can't physically back up my phone because my C drive isn't big enough.
Apple has always been like that. I actually have a video where I went from Apple to PC. I've always been an Apple guy. Yeah. I've used an Apple all the way back to the Apple II Plus, just so you get an idea of how long I've used Apples. And I just said, I can't justify spending the money for a system that is slower than what I can build in a PC, and spend more money for it. Yes, there's reasons for using an Apple. But
if you want to have a laugh, ask Emma Giles in the comments, what she uses to keep her photos on.
That's a good question. All right, Emma, throw it in there.
It on her SD card.
That's not a bad idea. No, that is not a bad idea.
I would not do that.
So, okay, now, the reason I say it's not a bad idea because, the whole 3-2-1 when it comes to backing stuff up, right? So you want 3 different backups, you want them in 2 different media forms, and then you want one off location, wherever. A media type used to be you would have a hard drive and then you would have a tape drive. Okay, that's how it used to be. Today, now all of a sudden you have like an SD drive, and instead of using a hard drive, now that we're seeing that those little SD cards are getting so big, people are storing some of their really important data on those little SD cards, and they're taking them because they're tiny and they're sticking them in a little box, like a fireproof box somewhere. So they have them, in a different location. Obviously, you can't store everything because they're not big enough. But like the SSDs now, the SSD drives are literally no bigger than your phone, and they hold, terabytes of data. And then you can very easily stick that into a firebox too. So having different.
Carl is saying you can tell iTunes where to put your backup, but I can't find an option for it.
Well, maybe there is a. Let me see. Carl also said, what else did he say? He said, "Yep, all lenses for full frame, even though I shoot a Canon 70D for now until the R5S comes out," with a smiley. Carl, R5S might come out. Some people said no. Some people think that the R3 would be an R5S because it's higher megapixels. I do think an R5S will be coming out, because it will be the equivalent to a DSLR, right? Which would be a 5DS or a 5DSR. So I'm going to guess. I think we'll see the R5S being at like 80 plus megapixels, maybe even over 100. So
end of the year. By the end of the year, we'll know.
I would say by 2022, because they got a lot.
I think it would have been this year if it wasn't for COVID.
I think they got a lot on their plate right now. They got 3 new RF lenses they're working on. They got a lot of stuff going on. I'm glad that you have the 70D. 70D, I believe, was the very first camera to introduce dual pixel AF. So you have some good AF on there, even though it's an older camera. So that's good. Let me see here. Carl says, what? No Hasselblad? Oh, wait. I love Hasselblad, but it's expensive, and that's why we don't buy it. We only rent Hasselblad. There's no reason to buy a Hasselblad today. There's no reason. I would think about buying a Fuji, like a GFX 100, 100S, maybe even a 50R or something. But a Hasselblad sitting at like 20, 30, 40 grand, and then another 20, 30 grand of lenses, it's just not going to happen. The depreciation just doesn't make it worth its while. Just rent it and just give it back. Let someone else deal with the depreciation. Let me see what else we have in here. Stewart. Okay. All right. C Photography says only $33,000. Yeah, they're $33,000. We were talking about the C7. Yeah, we're talking about the C. Yeah, body only. That's the C700. Yeah, it's a little.
Yeah, I'll get one of them for doing YouTube. That'd be great.
Yeah. Talking about overkill, and you'll never see the difference. But you could run YouTube, I suppose, 24/7 and not have to worry about overheating at 4K. Let me see what else.
Like a great streaming camera, wouldn't it?
You never shut it off. Just let it just keep going. Let's see who else is in here. Am I missing some? Are you looking to? Let's see.
I'm fully caught up. I'm mostly just taking the piss out of my computer.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Carl says I can do 45 to 50 words per minute.
They don't appreciate a decent computer. It works its arse off for YouTube. That computer does. Go and give it some slack, man.
Yeah. Let me see. Andrew says would be cool to put a Raspberry Pi into and put a little screen on top. Yeah. So Raspberry Pi, just talking about Raspberry Pi, I created across the way over here, with me and my son, we built a retro gaming unit, an arcade, a full-size arcade. And I've been threatening doing some videos with it, and I need to do it. I keep talking about it. But anyways, that's run totally on a Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is probably more powerful than any of the cameras currently out there, the CPUs in any of the cameras. So, I think that's where we get into, there's going to be a lot of this AI stuff that's going to be going on where, the photography is more internal to the camera, and they're going to be doing a lot of different like HDR tricks and stuff to get more out of it, just like an iPhone does. But when the cameras start doing that, we need multiple processors, or we need more powerful processors. But then we go back to heat, and it's a fine line that they're walking continuously, overheating the damn cameras or pushing them, like with 8K, like with what Canon did, and said, hey, look, we got 8K, and it melts to the floor in a pool of lava or something. I don't know. Let's see. Emma says, people used to do images of famous people. Let me see, indeed. Okay. I love what Carl does his 45 to 50 words per minute on his manual typer. Not bad. That's up there. That's respectable. Let's see what else we got here. So, CC Photography says, I lost so many pictures in a crash years back. I bought a QNAP because of it. Good call. So QNAP, if you don't know,
I think everybody does that. You know,
Yeah.
they seem to, people
take a loss.
Use backup because they've lost data at some point, you know.
Exactly. Instead of doing it beforehand. The problem that I've had QNAPs, I've had other RAID arrays. The problem that I have, and the reason why I went with the unRAID server, and the reason why I'm writing this book, is because if you use a QNAP or any of the other RAID arrays out there, let's say a RAID 5, if you're RAID 5, you lose 2 drives. Every bit of data is lost forever. Okay? So that's just the way RAID array works. That's just how a RAID 5 system would work. If you lose 2 drives, and what happened to me was I lost 1 drive. And this is what happens. I tell people this all the time. When you're putting drives into a RAID array, buy drives at different times of the year or by different companies. Don't buy all the same. And the reason being is most of the time, or a lot of times, you'll buy a drive and you'll buy 2 or 3 at the same time. They'll literally come and they're like almost the same serial numbers, you know, like a couple apart. So you end up with batches that are sometimes with the exact same problem as each other. You're kind of following this. So what happened was is I had a drive went bad, and in the alerts, it was blinking as like the drive is bad. You need to stick a new drive in. I didn't see it for like 2 days. Well, on the 3rd day, I lost the 2nd drive, which was in that pair that I bought at the same time. And at that point, the entire array is gone. I couldn't recover anything. If that same thing happened, okay, with me on this unRAID server with 5 drives in it, if that, I missed the 1st drive and then the 2nd drive went bad because I missed it, those 2 drives would be lost. I can't recover the data, but the 3 drives that are still in it, all of the data is still there. So I didn't lose everything. I still have, let's call it 70% or 66% of all of my data, not 100% loss. And that's why I went with an unRAID server in comparison to the RAID, any of the QNAPs or any of the other RAID arrays out there. So that's like the justification of why I did what I did, and that's why I wrote the book. Hopefully other people can take this journey with me and they find some use in it. Anyways, let's see what else here. Carl says, I think we'll push it to over 100 megapixels to beat Sony. I agree with you. I believe Carl's talking about the R5S. I think so. Yeah. They have to beat Sony, right? So 100 plus, definitely. Maybe even 120. There's one for you here. Stewart, do you think the photo shows at the NEC will go ahead this year? What do you think, Stewart?
That's the one question to ask. I'll tell you that now. If the current circumstance continues, I think yes. The question you should be asking is how many companies are actually going to turn up.
Correct.
Correct. I mean, will Laura fork out the money to get a stand and turn up, only to be turned down a week before?
Right.
Will they take the risk? I don't know. Yeah. I hope so. I want the photography show back, man, because that photography show was really good, particularly for beginners. Because if you're a professional, you already know what you want out of your gear. You already know how to take pictures and all that stuff. But the beginners, it's fantastic because you get to play with the stuff you ordinarily wouldn't be able to get your hands on.
Absolutely.
You get to play. I mean, for me, for instance, there's no way I'd look at a C700. But at the show, I can go and have a look. Do you know what I mean? I can go and have a play. I can ask questions.
Right.
You go to the Canon stand and you go, you know what? I want to have a look at the R5S if it's out at the time with a macro lens on and your twin macro flash, and they'll set it all up for you, and they'll literally let you play with it. And I mean, anyone who's going to the shows, I always say take some memory cards with you, because if you're looking to buy a camera, you can take shots on the camera you want to buy, take them home, edit them, and if you like them, you go and buy the camera. That's what I did with the EOS R. I had my eyes on the EOS R, and I was able to play with the EOS R, put my memory card in, take some macro shots with it, take it home, pixel peep, and I even sat there. I took a shot on every single ISO setting, so I can go, what's the ISO performance like on this camera compared to my A to Z? And let's just say it blows the A to D out of the water, the performance does.
Right.
And
absolutely.
But you're able to do that. Same with gimbals and drones, all that stuff. You can go to you have printers there, so you can physically look at the finished print to see what you like. I can't wait for these shows to come back. I really can't.
Yeah, they need to come back. So some firsthand experience. When I was doing Digital Photography Cafe, we did the shows, and we worked the shows. We did both podcasts as well as live broadcasts, and we got booths at all the different shows. That's what we did, and we did that for 7 or 8 years. And what I found was as time went by, the shows got smaller and smaller and smaller. Forget about COVID and all the rest of this crap. The bottom line was shows got smaller and smaller and smaller because they were greedy. Now, what that means is if Canon was to go to, let's say, Photokina and get a booth, the damn booth would cost them 70, 80, 100 grand to have the booth, sometimes more. It depends on how many square foot.
It's a lot of money.
They have to justify flying into Photokina, right? They have to fly over and show with an understanding that they're going to get nothing back from it besides goodwill. The ROI, the return on investment, is simply not there. When we would work the shows in Vegas or if we worked the shows in Manhattan, it doesn't matter. The ROI just wasn't there. The thing that we were able to do it and able to get a booth for $5,000 is because we had sponsors that were sponsoring us to do it and do the coverage, right? But these small mom and pops that made like a little product, whatever the product is, and they're like, oh yeah, buy this new tripod thing or whatever, and they're selling it for $39. You got to sell a lot of $39 tripods to make your 5K back or whatever. Yeah. It just wasn't, and that's why these shows have been slowly going away. I think they will continue to go away. I think there's a new show coming in right around Berlin. I think it is somewhere around Germany or something. A new show. I forgot what it was called. It's almost a replacement to Photokina. I don't know what they're going to do with that. It might be something to talk about. I'll have to look into it a little bit. But I think that in October, I think it is end of October, November, a Photo Plus Expo, which is PPE in Manhattan, supposedly is going to be live, but they're still not 100%. So is it virtual? Is it live? The virtual, it's just falls on deaf ears. No one even cares about a virtual nothing. They just don't care. They don't care.
The last photography show they did that was virtual, right? You had all chat
garbage.
rooms. And when you clicked on the Canon chat room, it took you to the Canon website. You're like, well, what's the point?
It was horrible.
What's the point?
Horrible. Yeah.
But, I mean, I've got a personal reason to want to go to these shows because I've been going to the photography show. I mean, first of all, it was, if I remember right, it was focused on imaging. And then that company stopped doing the show, and then it was took over by another company that called it the photography show. And it's been going for years. Every single show I've gone to, I've been an amateur or an enthusiast. I want to go to one of these shows now as a professional. And it'll be the first time I've been to a show as a professional photographer. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like, it's one of those little life goals. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to anyone else, but to me, it's like, I'm now a professional. I'm looking at this show now from a professional point of view, not just eyeing up gear that I can't afford or would never have.
Right.
Now I'm eyeing up gear that I'm writing down saying, that's going to help me out in the future. That'll be good for my YouTube channel. That's going to be good for photography. Do you know what I mean? Completely different eyes.
Absolutely.
Professional.
Yeah. Let me see. Kelly Burton, he says, I just purchased a Tamron. Don't bash it. All right. We're going to take a look at what you did with your Tamron in just a second. Hold on. So I just purchased a Tamron 35 to 150 millimeter 2.8 to f4, and that is for the Z6 Mark II and the firmware. He obviously put the latest and greatest firmware in it, and at 150, basically maxed out, it is tack sharp at 4.5 and 3.5, and at 2.8, it's still great. That's really good news. Tamron has always done really good telephotos. I have my favorite macro is a Tamron 90, which works out really good. I know Stewart absolutely loves Tamron lenses, and when he does something with his Tamron lenses, which I think is very special, you need to grab that real quick. He has
you want me to show?
No, I want you to do it. He does something really special with his Tamron lenses because he loves them so much. And look, here we go. There you go. He's turned it into a frickin' potted plant. I don't know, a cactus holder. Yeah. So yeah. appreciate that. But so while he doesn't like Tamron,
as far as I know, though, their high-end lenses are pretty good quality. But
they're really good. Yeah,
I've just not used one yet. Like I said, as soon as I can get to that photography show, I'm going to show them my cactus pops and say,
yeah. See, this is what I did with your crap lens. I've had a lot of good experiences with Tamron, but it's always it's like if you get the lucky ticket kind of thing. Lenses are literally, they come out in batches, and certain batches are better than others. And if you get a piece, I always say that buy it from a company like B&H, for example. You bring in a lens, you shoot it, you test it. If it's not testing tack sharp, if it's not on, send it back. All right. They will replace it and swap it out. So in my personal opinion, if you got a crap lens and you continue to have a crap lens and you didn't replace it when you first got it, shame on you. But now if the lens ends up going belly up, and it goes bad over the warranty by a month, well then, turn it into a potted plant for sure. I would, make it into a cactus planter for sure. Let me see. CC Photography.
At some point, I'm going to do that to an L series lens just to piss people off.
I think you should. Yeah. Spend that money. Do it. Let me see. CC Photography says same with E3 for gaming. Absolutely. It just, you have to be there. It's kind of stupid. Let me see. Robert says replacement for these shows seem to be sending products to YouTube. Yeah. And Instagram and influencer. Yes. Yeah. And the problem with that
That's right. It's so important to find one that you can trust.
Right. No, absolutely.
If they get a bad product, they're going to call it out and say, this is shit, don't bother buying it.
Yeah. And that's 100%.
I don't like reviewers from ambassadors because, again, they're contractually not allowed to tell you about the faults of these products.
Yeah. And people don't get that. They don't understand that is the case. It's always been the case since the beginning of time. If you are a reviewer, you cannot make bad, let's say, representations of the let's say lens or whatever. That's why, perfect example, like you were talking about with Peter McKinnon over there with the whole the R5 thing. The thing was heating up like crazy, but there's only so much he can say and do it nicely. Yeah. It's the same thing with like this. And like you said, you have to pick a channel. How many photography channels out there? Let's say a show of hands. How many photography channels out there that you know of that basically will tell you how great every single product is that they have an affiliate link to in their description? Yeah, there is a lot of them.
I prefer to count on my one hand the channels I watch because they don't do that. So you got Joe Dundun. If something's bad, he will point.
He's going to call it. Yeah, that's the way it should
be. He tests the whole lot as well. Do you know what I mean? So I go to him if I'm looking for a video camera or something. Yeah. Jared Poland, I watch him as well because he will call some shit out like Nikon's famous grip that they had on their Z cameras that had no frigging buttons on.
Right. That's the Z, the Z6 and the Z7.
The problem is that there's a lot more people out there that are like, this is a brilliant product. Use my link in the description below. Now, if I find, I do that. I have affiliate links because, we're small YouTubers, we need that help,
Right.
But I only do affiliate links to products that I like. Now, let's take a certain software company, CC will tell you who I'm talking about. They had me in their influencer program and all this crap, but their software was shit. It just would not work on the computer. And you could argue the fact I got an old computer and go, we'll get a new computer. Well, Lightroom works on it perfectly okay. So if Lightroom works, yours doesn't, what does that say? Yeah.
Right.
So literally, I removed the affiliate links. I was like, I'm not pushing it no more, And but now, I see it all the time. Instagram is one of the worst ones. Like these models that have got millions of followers, and they go, "Oh, look at these fake eyelashes. Use the link below to get your 50% off." Right.
No, it's true. It's hard. It's hard to find people that will actually do a proper review on stuff these days. But the companies.
On a side note, that is why my reviews take so long. Now, I still haven't done the review for the Canon MPE65. I've had it a year now. And the reason why is because when I do my review, it's proper long-term real-world usage.
Right.
Yeah, because sometimes it can take upwards of a year to find an issue with a lens, you know?
Yeah.
And I made that mistake when I did the review for the Irix lens. I whipped out a review quite quickly for the Irix lens. And
oops,
some certain things started popping up afterwards, like I know the battery it used to drain the battery when it was connected to the camera. Even though the camera's turned off, it drained the battery.
Yeah.
Just things like that, you know.
Yeah, obviously there was a
another thing I like to do as well. I like to test companies' service if there's an issue as well. Because companies are quick to sell you something, but they're not very good to fix things. You know, like
absolutely.
Clever Spa, for instance, they're shit. They are.
Yeah, you'll know which ones are just horrible, and you just don't buy from them.
So,
Thomas
so
Lloyd,
when I find a YouTuber or an influencer that goes, "This is shit," I'm like, "Ooh, hello."
Oh yeah,
this might be someone worth
subscribe.
watching, you know what I mean? Yeah.
No, it's true. Let me see. Thomas Lloyd says, "I've gotten sick of the shows, and I would rather go to their sites because I get more information there." Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, Thomas. The only thing is, there's something to be said about the tactile experience of holding something in your hand and testing it. I
had my eyes on a Sony camera, right, and I was ready to buy it until I picked it up at the photography show, and I held it in my hand. I was like, "Don't like it." Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the camera. It just didn't feel right in my hand. I'm like, "Well, I'm going to look somewhere else."
It was like so the original,
it's like that. Yeah.
A perfect example, Thomas, is I was covering with Trevor Current when we were doing Digital Photography Cafe. We're in Manhattan, right? And we were doing PPE. And that was the year that the Sony A7 came out. It was the very first A7. And we went to the booth because we had behind the booth, and we got a 1-1 to test the camera and to check it out because we were doing a piece on it. And we were testing out, and I remember the guy said, "Yeah, we only have one lens for it, but you can take, any of your EF lenses and use it on that." Okay, I'm like, "You don't have any lenses, but you wanted me to use my L glass." Okay, so we did. The A7 was the biggest piece of crap, okay, that you would ever believe. I mean, we would strap glass to it; it wouldn't catch focus at all. I mean, it was hunting in and out. It was just, the thing was horrendous. And of course, we documented it as such. But at the time, I said, this is the future. And I have it in video. This is the future. This will be something. But today, it is not. They had nothing. They would just have people bring their lenses over. They gave you a nice adapter, and they said, there you go, run with it. But look how far Sony has went since that first A7. Mm-hmm. So, but being able to hold it and feel it, that tactile experience, is very important for me and that's why I like the 1D over the 5D, because it has the built-in grip, right? It's heavier, it's bulkier, I have bigger hands, it's easy to flip to portrait, flip back to lens, everything is just where it needs to be. The battery is almost as big as my iPhone. I mean, it lasts forever. So there's reasons for each camera. But anyways, back to the whole idea. I still like the shows because of that tactile experience, number one. Number two, I like it for education. And number three, being able to interview these people firsthand instead of on Skype or something like that, I think is awesome too. And that's why I don't do any more interviews, because we're not working the shows as we were doing, for all those years.
Another thing with the shows is you can also bump into your favorite photographer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Literally on the floor. Last time I went, I saw Lindsay Adler was on the floor.
Yeah.
Didn't have the guts to speak to her, unfortunately. I'm chickened out. Because when I first got a camera, when you get a camera, it's always portraits. Everyone goes, "I want to take pictures of portraits of people." And Lindsay Adler's tutorials was the first ones I ever viewed. So I was like, "Oh my God, it's Lindsay Adler," I chickened out. But I remember the one day, and we're walking around the floor, and I happened to look down at this guy who's sitting on the floor next to a stall. And I walked past, and I sat down. I'm like, "Hold on a minute." So then I turned around, I walked past again, and I turned around to the missus. I said, "I'm sure that's Frank Dorhoff, just sitting on the floor."
Yeah.
I turned around, I went back again. I go, excuse me, you Frank door off? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. I'm like, seriously, you're just sitting on the floor, just, I think he had a drink or something. And I was like, can I take a photo with you? And he's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, he stands up, makes me look like an absolute dwarf. It's, most people do, but Frank Dorhoff, he's a big bloke. He's a big bloke.
Oh, absolutely. Meeting your favorite YouTubers, meeting your favorite photographers, meeting people all the time.
Like,
I remember hanging out with.
I got books. I got books signed. You can get books signed at these shows as well.
I was just going
to do his books. They're all signed.
I was just going to bring that up. So I remember one year, myself and Trevor Current, we were hanging out. There was like a bunch of us, and we had Lindsay Adler with us, as well as Rush Sillers, and we were hanging out. I think we did coffee, or we were just, there was the guy in between during the show. And that was the same year that Lindsay, as well as Rosh Sillers, were writing that book. I don't know if you know, but they wrote a book together, and they had signed copies, and they were giving them away, and obviously selling them, but the signed copies there. But yeah, being able to meet everyone, I think, is spectacular. It's really cool. I would like to start doing meetups down here with people, and if people are interested in that, doing a photo walk with me or just hanging out or whatever, let me know, because I think there's just something about it. When you just communicate, this is cool, and we can talk in the chat and all that, but just a one-to-one, and it's just so much better. Let's go through some of these comments. I'm falling behind.
In case you can hear banging, it's my dog.
Oh, all right. Let him bang. Let me see here.
She doesn't believe a door should be closed in the house, and she starts banging.
Yeah. Let me see. CC Photography says Tamarins for Sony have sold a crap load of them. Basically, the 2875. I have the 2875 for the Canon for the EF mount. A spectacular lens. Spectacular. I would say it's every bit as good as my L24-70. Really, really good lens. I use it as a backup sometimes. Let's see. Clyde says, I'm contemplating a purchase between a D780, the C7A, as well as a D7 II. Do you have an F-mount lens or blah, blah, blah? So wouldn't mind a Z7 II also. And the thoughts on this is basically this, Clyde. Do you want to go with the older school DSLR, or do you want to go with mirrorless and get into mirrorless and start using the Z series lenses in comparison to the old? So do you have already F mount glass? You can always adapt it to a Z7 II. You can also look into the brand new Z9 that might be coming out soon. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but that's something to look into. But chances are, if you're looking for those type of cameras, a Z7 II would be a great option. Now with the new firmware updates, you get the faster autofocus. It's not a bad idea. Let me see here. Kelly says I purchased it from a local camera store, mint used, tested it here again. That's the 24-200S and a 24-70 f4. I like the 24-70. So it's a good. I think it's a perfect for me. I love my Trinity is a quick 50, a 24-70, and then a 70-200. That covers everything that I do pretty much. And of course, I have like a 300. I got some long too, but I don't use it too much. Let me see. Carl, what does he say? Carl says, I took a while to buy my Laowa 100 millimeter, and it's a 2x macro. So once again, that is obviously the Laowa 100 millimeter, which is a proper macro with this 2x. A lot of people don't understand what a proper macro is in comparison to some of these macros that are literally like 1.1, 1.2 macros. You know what I'm saying? And you're laughing, but a lot of people don't.
Proper macro is 1-to-1 or greater. These other lenses that say macro are only close-up lenses.
Right. It's not a true macro.
They're not true macro lenses, no.
Exactly.
I wonder if Carl used my affiliate link to buy his Laowa.
Well, he should have.
Yeah. I'll demote him in my Discord channel if he didn't.
Yeah, just get rid of him. Just mark him. Let me see here. Photography, video. Okay, Thomas says photography, videography, music. All drove me to find more lucrative jobs. Yes. But anything creative,
it expensive, doesn't it?
Anything creative is something that you really have to have a passion to do, number one, and you have to be better than everyone else. If you're just, kind of good, you're not going to make it. And the tertiary thing here, the third thing that all creatives need to be able to do is business and marketing. Business and marketing, I would say, is 90% of everything that we do as creatives. If you can't market yourself, you're going to be out of business pretty quickly. And if you don't believe it, trust me on this. I can tell you that 110%. Let me see. Ron C says, don't you guys find you can't say gear isn't too good without tons of fanboys kicking off? Yes. And that's always the problem. See, on this channel, I usually don't tear down any brand Panasonic very often. Okay, every once in a while, and it's only as a loving tearing down. Just like I said, I always, I crush on a Panasonic thing. It's just complete shit. The autofocus is just abysmal. But I use Panasonic EVA 1s professionally on a regular basis, shooting, like I said, episodic TV. So I love Panasonic. I think Panasonic is the best video camera out there if they would just go with some type of phase detection instead of just contrast detection. So, but for the most part, I don't really fanboy on any brand. Everyone knows that I'm a Canon shooter, but I want Sony to do well. Matter of fact, I recommended the Sony a7 III for years. I mean, before Canon even came out with their first mirrorless camera, I thought that it was a good value. The return on investment, the ROI of buying a Sony a7 III was just smart. It just had it there in spades for under $2,000. Let me see what else we got. Emma. Let's see, what did she say here? Gosh, guys, images of meetup. Yeah, it would be really nice. I would love to be able to do some meetups. It was funny. I was in Disney with the family one day.
You would have to come here, though.
I know.
I don't do airplanes.
Yeah. Then what? How about me? I won't be able to do it. That would be the end of it. I don't know.
I've got to do it at some time because one of my bucket lists is actually to go to Florida and photograph the jumping spiders there.
You know what? One of my bucket lists is going to the UK because I have,
at some point I've got to do it.
Yeah,
maybe
that would be really cool. So I come on your show, but in person, side by side over there, and then you come over here, side by side. You sit next to me, and we do this. that would be awesome.
I want to start a new series when the new computer's built, of course, and it's like COVID's finished. I want to start a new series that's called YouTube Takeover. Where different YouTubers that I know do a video, but in my studio rather than theirs.
That'd be awesome.
I'm going to get Lee Hall to do it first. So at some point, he's going to be sitting in this chair doing a video, but it's him in my studio, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, that'd be very, very cool.
Imagine if I was sitting in your chair on one video.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it would be awesome.
Good morning, all. Welcome.
Yeah, they'd be like, and then I'll be
of Coca-Cola, original taste Coca-Cola.
Right, and when I'm telling you about my teas, that my Dark Moon teas. Take a look below here. But yeah, the Dark Moon teas, and I'm talking about that. You could be talking about Coca-Cola, but people actually buy my teas, and if you sell some Coca-Cola, no one's going to give you a damn nothing.
I ain't selling no one's Coca-Cola. I know what you do.
Yeah, I've been infusing tea for so many years. I stopped drinking coffee about 4 or 5 years ago, no coffee at all. So I've been infusing teas for quite some time. And a lot of the people on the show would say, what kind of tea? What are you drinking? What are you drinking? It's like, oh, it's mine. I make whatever. They're like, well, can I have some? And I sent them out and then people liked it. And I'm like, well, all right. And that's when Dark Moon teas came out. And that's when I started creating those teas and start selling the teas. And people love them and they keep, rebuying them. So, I do it as like a side hustle, but I do it, I call it, I do it as more of loving the tea and being able to create something that other people will enjoy as much as I enjoy it. So, I call it teas with intention because each tea is specifically made for a reason. I don't just make a tea just because it tastes good. Some of the teas don't taste good. Like I have stormy weather. It's like if you're sick, this is really good to kick it out of you, but it doesn't taste fantastic. And I also have one that is like a sleepy time type of tea. It's called Dreamscapes, and Dreamscapes will put your ass to sleep, okay? And you'll have a restful sleep. And when you get up in the morning, you're like, wow, that was really quite good. So, but it's using similar ingredients.
All I need for a restless sleep is the kids to shut up and go to sleep when I'm telling them to.
That's, yeah. Or a scotch,
And
maybe?
on a side note as well, if you got kids and you want to go to the photography show, make sure you get a babysitter, yeah? Last time I went to the photography show, I was like, well, we're only going to be there for 4 hours and the kids are at school for 6. So, yeah, in theory, that's more than enough time to go around the show. And it is enough time to go around the show, unless, of course, Lindsay Adler is doing a book signing at 3:30. And the kids come out of school at 3:30. And I'm like, oh, my God.
You know what?
So next time I'm getting babysitters, yeah? Just in case, because you never know what might pop up, you know?
Yeah, Lindsay Adler is she's a really nice person. I mean, she's like some of the people that you meet over time. I mean, we've interviewed, God, every CEO and CFO and photographer pretty much out there, for 8 years straight. And some of them, they're just pompous and nasty and, just not cool people at all. And then other ones that we meet are just unbelievable. Lindsay is a really nice person. Ross Sillers was really nice. There's a lot of people out there that are just good people that kind of like help out the community, and you know who they are. You can pretty much see them even when you go to their channel, and see how they converse with people. How they are pretty much if you have that even a little bit of let's call it inner third eye. Let's call it. So I'm an empath, so I can feel people pretty easily. Anyways, let me see what else we have here. Let's see. I think we're getting close here. Dreamscape sounds good. Emma, yeah. They work out really good. I wish I can send them into the UK, but I can't even send my teas into the UK because for some reason, we now have like this VAT thing where I can't even send post into the UK without having a special VAT number to just mail something. So like, I just sent you, Stewart, a bunch of my Aurora Camera Care. If you guys don't know what those are, Aurora Camera Care is a company that I put together, a brand that I create sensor cleaning kits. So for Micro Four Thirds, APS-C, full frame. Matter of fact, there's one right here. I just sent a whole bunch of them over to B&H. They just order a big batch of them, but this is what they look like. Anyways, and inside there you have, all of these swabs. They look like this. Well, the reason I invented those is because, all those sensor cleaning kits out there, they would give you these little swabs that look like this, and they give you like a bottle and you're like putting drops on it. You don't know how much to put on it, what's safe amount, what's not. What are they giving you? What kind of chemical, or is it like water, or what the hell they're doing? So I put them together like this. So you have a dry and a wet. You go over the sensor with the wet, then you go over it with the dry, and the damn thing's perfectly clean. You're done. Simple as that. So anyways, it's everyone has like their own little thing, their own side hustle, whatever it is.
I've got an absolute bunch of stuff to got to review.
Oh, there you go.
The thing that actually, I'll be honest with you, the thing that excited me more was that one.
That works. Which is
a grey card, yeah. Currently, the one I'm using here is it's a simple grey card, yeah.
Right. Let me see. Let me grab one.
It's nice and small. It's got different colours on. It's going to fit in my bag nicely. So
yeah.
This is looking interesting.
Yeah. So this is what he has over there. So yeah, there you go.
There you go.
All right. So on this side, you have a grey card. I put this together because everyone has like a gray card. There's a lot of good gray cards out there. And to get the color just right, it's always good to have one. But what I found is most people would shoot a gray card, then later on in post-production, they would click in here, and now everything is neutral and sterile. So what I did is I put together this. I call it the dual access color control. So a lot of people, what they would do is they would take the picture with the gray card, they would neutralize it, and if they want to warm something up, right, they would take their slider and they would move it to the yellow. Or if they want to cool it, they would take the slider and move it to the blue. And they're like, oh yeah, I cooled it. Or yeah, I made it warm. No, if you dragged it to the yellow, now you just made a jaundiced person that has like yellow freaking eyes. Okay, that's not how you warm stuff.
That's like someone off of Simpsons.
Yeah. So what I did is you have two areas. What people don't understand is when you warm something, you have to take into consideration not just the yellow, right? You have to take consideration to the tint. So your magenta, right? Which is very important. And your cyan, right? And your greens. And so what ends up happening is these right here, this dual access color control takes that into consideration. So if you're warming, one side of the warming will actually add the opposite tint to it. So by clicking on any of these, you can warm or cool, but do it properly. So you're not pulling jaundiced people or people that are like blue. So that's what I made it for. So try that out. Use your gray card for getting that baseline, which would be this side, but then also take your subject with this dual access color control and test out clicking on all of these different spots to see what looks best for the specific lighting situation or the creative lighting situation that you're trying to come up with. So yeah, check that out. The PRT, the photo reference tool. I created that, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. They're using them in schools today. Because it just works, it's just one of those little things it's a small thing, and it works. And since it's made out of plastic, I see some people that are bringing these underwater, in the ocean and using them for getting color just right, because for every 10 feet, it gets more and more blue. But if you just gray card it, now it's not going to be right. But if you go and shoot it on this side, you can really dial in the coral and the fish exactly how you want them to be. So anyways, cool. Yeah, definitely review it. Let me know, what you think.
It's even more important for video, because video is a lot harder to fix afterwards.
You can't. Yeah, it's really harder. Difficult. Yeah, unless you're shooting raw video, and now that's a different story. But most of the time we're not.
Unless
shooting
you're
raw.
lucky enough to shoot raw, that is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So let's go. We're going to close this up. Maybe 2-3 more minutes. Any other questions you guys have? Just throw them in there, and then we'll close it up. Let me see. Thomas said VAT is the devil. Yes, VAT is just a problem. The whole Brexit thing and the whole thing where it's Parliament and the money, it's just, that is a problem. I don't mind. Okay, so let it be heard. Let it be known. I'm saying it here. Okay. If that was done properly in the UK, okay, whereas people like me would be able to sell into the UK and then there was an easy way to pay the damn VAT, will do it. But they make it into a hot ass mess. Perfect example is when we sell on Amazon. We've been selling on Amazon for 10 years. If we sell into the UK, they want to collect VAT. But the problem is it's difficult to friggin' do it. We need to have a VAT. We need to have VAT with all the different EU countries. We need VAT for UK. We need VAT for Ireland. We need VAT for Germany and Italy and France. And it's just a hot mess. We're sending pennies all over the place. And God forbid you don't send in a penny and now you get hit with a charge for not doing it. So there's they need to centralize. They need to make it so, okay, maybe you pay VAT once, a year, let's say, and then they keep tallies. Or for example, with Amazon, if you want to buy something for me on Amazon, they take the damn VAT, okay, and give it to the UK instead of me having to deal with it. A perfect example is FedEx. If I get product in from overseas and I have to pay VAT, FedEx collects the damn VAT for me and then gives it to the country. They act as that, middleman, let's say, for the VAT. They don't have that right now. And unless I'm just all wet behind the ears and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, please tell me and I'll fix it. But as of right now, we can no longer send it to the UK because I'm not going to do it. I can't just, once again, it goes to ROI and value. There's not enough sales to be able to do all of this whole tax, and it changes with the whole Brexit thing. It's changing continuously. It's like if they move the goalpost every 10 days. We obviously being a seller on Amazon, they send us stuff all the time. They're like, hey, that changed again, and you guys need to do this, or by the way, this is the way it is for this month or whatever. I can't. I got bigger fish to fry, and they need to fix it because honestly, all the countries are hurting their own people. Because a lot of the companies, unless they're really big ones, are just not doing it because they can't. They've made it so damn difficult. Anyways, that's my rant. Let's see. Let's go in there. Any questions that pop up? Let me see. Emma says, Stewart can come sort of my sort of camera, and that's for you. You can go over there and you're going to sort it. You can sort it. Let me see.
Anytime you want me to, I'll come over and I'll sort that bloody camera out, man.
There you go. There you go. There's another one from Ron.
I've had my first jab, so I'm like half protected now. So.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm glad you did it. My parents got it. I did not. Let's see. Ron C says, Stewart, when life gets back to normal, you should organize a photo meet. Absolutely. I would like to do the same thing over here, too.
I am thinking of organising one. I've got to get together with Lee Hall and organise some sort of macro meetup or photo walk or something. But we've got to keep an eye on the situation, you know. If people can't legally turn up, there's no point even discussing it, you know. And the way our government is at the moment, you know, today it's legal, tomorrow it might not be. So
and that's I know, and that's it. I mean, I literally have hundreds of units of product from JCristina Photography Tools, as well as the Aurora Camera Care products, sitting in Amazon's main home base. I think it's in Germany, or maybe even the UK. It might even be in the UK. And it just sits there. It can't be sold. So it's horrible. Ridiculous. It's horrible. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And, like you said, they change continuously. So, what's going on now
is the goalposts.
They're constantly moving.
It's almost as bad as YouTube. YouTube's the same. They're constantly moving the goalposts all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, how am I supposed to get noticed if you keep changing the bloody thing?
No, I 110%. Yeah, it's a problem.
Because we're in a race to get to 100,000. You know what I mean? So Let's do an update on that, shall we? What's your subscriber count at the moment?
Let me see. That's a pretty.
That's a subscriber count.
That's a good question. Let me see. It is. Here we go. 30,565.
Oh, okay. I'm on 30,584.
Oh my, that's it. You won. That is awesome.
Oh, I'm in the lead. I'm just in the lead.
Yeah, you're just in the lead. You know what? I'm gonna throw something at the back of your head. See if I can get you to fall, so I can pass you by. Oh my God, no, that's good stuff.
I've already lost my false teeth this week. I don't need to lose anything else.
Oh wow, VJ put in a super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support. Thank you. Just for that, we have to stay for a couple extra minutes here. Any questions that you have, please ask. Anything that you have. Let me see. Carl says, I think I have a long way to go. Only over 200 subscribers. It's okay. Honestly,
you all start somewhere.
Yeah, you just have to start. Some people ask me so. How do you do this continuously? What do you do? I don't sleep much. Number one, I'm a proponent. I work at night a lot, and I get probably about 4 hours of sleep because I am very nocturnal. I always say I'm going to have carpe noctem tattooed on my inner arm, just because I am the guy that seizes the night in comparison to seizing the day. I work during the day, of course, but at night I can focus, write my books, do other kind of stuff. But the whole idea is to be able to, if you're doing something on YouTube, is consistency, and you have to love it. So if you don't love it, definitely don't do it. Oh, look at the doggy. Sweet.
Oh yeah. So
look at that.
He's the thing making all the noise in the background,
Oh, just wants to be on camera. Look at how sweet. Look at that face. Wow.
Go on then. She doesn't believe doors should be closed. She doesn't believe the kids should go outside and close the front door. But yeah, that's basically.
I love it. Yeah, see photography.
Yeah, because I've been teaching Lee Hall things about YouTube and all that. Yeah,
right.
And then other people come to me and they always go, "Well, people." They want to start YouTube, right? And then they look at my channel, look at your channel, they go, well, no way, I can't be as good as you. So I always say, if you want to have fun or be inspired to start YouTube, go back and watch our first video.
Oh my God, I know.
So if you go into the video tab on YouTube and then sort out to oldest first, and then start watching, you'll see the quality of our videos.
Don't make them do it. It's like embarrassing. It is embarrassing. But no, you're 100% right. I mean, the stuff that I did at the very beginning.
Don't judge yourself
don't judge
on our videos that are now. Judge yourself on our first videos, and you'll see that your quality could be better than what ours was when we first started. And what's important is content is king when it comes to YouTube. If you've got an interesting content, you're teaching or you're telling a good story, it doesn't matter what your film's done.
Yeah.
Audio is second. Audio has to be good. That's what I've been struggling with lately. You know, and the more important thing is just start. Because if you don't start, you're never going to get.
Yeah, the best day to start YouTube is yesterday. You know, people think,
definitely.
you know, there's so many people out there already doing it. I mean, God, if we both thought that, we wouldn't be doing this with 30,000, you know, subscribers today. If we thought that, it's just, you just have to, once again, you have to do something that you really enjoy doing. I absolutely love photography, videography. I'm a DP, a director of photography, professionally. I love creativity. I went to the Art Institute of South Florida for commercial art, advertising, design, and photography back in the day. You know, I got a degree in sociology, psychology, child psych. I've done a lot of different things. I've ran a computer company for 13 years, a software company. So there's a lot of stuff that I've done, but I always come back to my creativity and the art because it's a passion. So, and if you're going to do anything on YouTube, be passionate about it, and people will recognize it and they'll follow you because they enjoy it, and they enjoy your passion if it's something that they're passionate about. And with billions of views every single day on YouTube, someone is going to be passionate about what you're passionate of. So just do it. Definitely get out there and do it. And like you said,
and think about it from this point of view, right? You're sitting there thinking, should I start YouTube? Now, what would have happened if Peter McKinnon didn't start it because all he did was think about it?
Right. Yeah.
You know, or Casey Neistat, what would have happened if he didn't do it because he was thinking about it?
Yeah.
You know, because let's face it, Peter McKinnon isn't the first photographer on YouTube.
No. Yeah. I mean,
there was thousands of people on before him.
Yeah, I mean, Chase Jarvis was doing the same similar type of thing back when I was like doing Digital Photography Cafe and doing podcasting. He just started, you know, doing like, look at me, you know, Chase Jarvis I'm talking about. This is how I do it. This is how I you know, do the behind the scenes stuff. And at the time, many professional photographers were looking down on Chase as being someone that was giving away the keys to the castle. And what they didn't understand is he was getting this massive following because people wanted to look underneath the proverbial skirt, right? And see how the things go, the back end, what it entails to do a professional photo shoot for a car company or whatever, hanging out of a helicopter or whatever this is. So, you know, I think, and of course, like you say with Neistat and the rest of the other ones that have built a following. I mean, with Neistat, I mean, he was doing like a vlog a day continuously. I mean, so, you know, you have to put in the effort to get anything out of this stuff for sure. It's something, once again, you have to love it. And I would have to say, you know, the video is important, but I think for me, the most important thing is the audio. People need to be able to hear you, and they need to hear you clearly, and you can't sound horrible. But if you have a horrible video, they can close their eyes and still hear you. But if your sound just sounds like crap, they will shut off your video in a heartbeat. So keep that in mind.
Depending on the video, if you're doing a talking head video, a lot of people have it in the background while they're reading or doing their email.
Absolutely.
You know? So if your audio's crap, no one's going to listen to it.
No, they will shut that off immediately. 100%. Let me see. Thomas says, dang, Joe, quite the resume. Yeah, I mean, I'm like an old guy. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm a 60s baby. You know, I was born right around the time when we landed on the moon. So I've been around for a bit. I'm not young, so I've been doing a lot of different things. But once again, like I said, I always turn back to creativity, you know, going back to the art stuff. And I've always been one to take care of people and educate people. There's something to be said. And I think you get the same thing with your channel. When you do something and you're showing someone how to do macro photography because you're really great at it, and you show someone and then they come back and say, oh my God, that I get it now. Now I understand why you use that or why you light this way.
It's very fulfilling.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. It's you got something out of it. When people don't understand, like we read all the comments, and when people say something really nice, you take it to heart. The bad stuff you have to let it go, but the stuff that's good, it really helps us continue doing what we do. It's not an easy thing to get up every morning and say, what are we going to record today? What are we going to do? What's the topic? People ask, how in the hell do you have 520 some videos? It's just, and don't you run out of topics? And the answer is no. It's something that I love. I can be here all day long, literally 24 hours and constantly come up with new stuff because there's so much stuff out there that you love, So anyways, I think I'm going to let you go now. We're now bordering on exactly 1 hour. 2 hours, 59 minutes.
It's longer than 1 hour.
No, 59 minutes, 35 seconds. So it's 1 hour, 59, 30. So literally it's just about ready to flip over to 2 hours. And I know you want to go and hang out with your family. It is Friday. Just so you guys know, head over to Stewart's channel because, he's going to fall behind when I kick him in the back of the head. And I'm going to start, overtaking his numbers. Definitely go and subscribe to his channel.
Big words.
Yeah, you need to go and subscribe over there because we're going to be bumping up pretty soon. I don't know how yet, but we're going to do it. But yeah, go subscribe to his channel. I'll put in the comment area. I'll put a link, or you could just simply type in Stewart Wood. You're gonna find him anyways. It'll be very easy. Just like if you go to YouTube and type in JCristina, you'll see all of my nonsense on there. So it's really easy. Also, for all the people that have actually been here to the very end, use promo code YT20 at checkout. If you go over to JCristina.com, you'll get 20% off anything that you order. It doesn't matter if it's Dark Moon Tees or if it's the photo reference tool or a focus pyramid or if one of the Aurora camera care products or whatever for cleaning your sensors. You'll get 20% off everything. If you need to pick it up somewhere else, you can pick anything up that I create over on Amazon.com or B&H Photo and Video. They're continuously ordering from me our products. So definitely do that. And go over to our Discord server. Go to community.jcristina.com. I'm going to throw it up over here on the screen. Community.jcristina.com. Go over there. Stewart's there. I'm there all the time. We are answering questions continuously. Also pick up that ebook I talk about. jcristina.com/ebook, 10 tips of making tack sharp images. Pick that up. It is free. All right. Definitely something in there for just about everyone. Doesn't matter if you're a professional, a pro-am, or an amateur. Pick that up and subscribe and click that little bell icon. That would be helpful too. So anyways, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here, Stewart.
I think my camera just died again.
Oh, it died? So that's perfect.
This is what happens when we natter too much. Yeah.
Oh, wait. It's perfect because you're blinking and your eyes are closed in the video, and now you went black.
I'm high.
I love it. That's perfect. I like it. You know what? I got to screenshot that. That's going to be that'll be the thumbnail. You just like sleeping while I'm talking. I think that's perfect. I like it. We're going to do it. So anyways, like I said, go and take a look at Stewart's channel. He's got a lot of great stuff over there. He does a lot of macro photography. A lot of his stuff is about macro work. So if you want to get into anything having to do with macro, he does some creepy, jumpy spider stuff, which to him is not creepy. I think he has a couple of pet spiders right there in the office, I believe. But for me,
yeah, I've had a couple die lately, though, fortunately.
Oh, no, that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's caused the problem. I'm getting an error on my EOS on. I can't get to turn on or off.
That's all right. That's all right. But anyways, guys, I just want to say thank you so much once again for being here. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy the weekend with your family. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
See you later.